Hey there, I'm professional psychic and astrologer Karen Marie. I'm going to be talking about the astrological transits for the week of February 9th. And I'm going to start with what's been going on this last week, which is that Uranus stationed direct in Taurus. Uranus is the great awakener. It throws sudden, shocking, unexpected events. Its purpose is to wake us up, to get us on the right track. It can knock things down and take things away, but Uranus will always replace it with something better. And we had two planets squaring Uranus this last week, and a square is a contentious relationship. So we had both Mercury and Venus, which are both personal planets, square Uranus. So we could have had some personal shocks and surprises when it comes to our own. Mercury's the messenger, so messages that we received. We definitely had some shocks and surprises that showed up on social media and the news. And Venus is about shocks and surprises when it comes to money and finances, relationships, beauty and the arts. We did have a crypto currency kind of surprise this last week. So I'm going to share the screen here when I talk about the transits for the upcoming week. Alrighty. Whoa. Okay, so I have this chart pulled up for today's Sunday, February 8th, 2026, and I've set this for Austin, Texas. The place doesn't matter. I'm going to be talking about the planets. I'm not going to be going into rising or midheaven of this chart. The time is 10 p.m. as I'm recording this. So we'll start with the stellium that we still have in Aquarius. Aquarius rules the 11th house in the astrological wheel, and this is the house of our networks, our groups. It's the water bearer is the sign symbol, but it's so people confuse Aquarius and think it's a water sign, but these wavy lines are kind of electromagnetic currents that are going through the air. Aquarius is all humanity vibing together, the power of the people. So the sun has been traipsing through Aquarius right now as I'm recording. This is at 20 degrees. Tomorrow, the sun will be at 21 degrees, conjuncting Chariklo. This is abbreviated here in the chart. Chariklo was the wife of Chiron. Chiron was a healer to the Greek gods. He himself was wounded and could not be healed. His story is like his father was a god and his mother was a nymph. And when he was conceived, both his parents could shapeshift and they were in the form of a horse. So he was born half horse, and his mother disowned him. So he's actually raised by another god and was trained and learned to become a healer. He was an alternative healer, and all the other gods, when they were wounded, went to Chiron. Chariklo is the wife, or was the wife of Chiron, and she represents like healing grace, unconditional love and support, um, being able to help hold the space for the healer, right? Creating this warm environment. And so it is the ability for us to be able to hold space with someone who is wounded without feeling like we have to be the ones to heal or change them. It's a really lovely energy. It's calming and it's nurturing and it's resilient. It's a very divine feminine energy. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And the sun, when it's conjunct any planet, and this is an asteroid that travels between Saturn and Uranus. So, or it's in that belt between Saturn and Uranus. So that's a really lovely aspect to start off the week on Monday with the sun illuminating this quality of feminine nurturing and unconditional love and support. And there's another myth that said she was able to heal people with her presence. She just brought this energy in. So that's a beautiful start to the week. We also have the moon moving through Scorpio, the last decan of Scorpio. It Scorpio moon can be intensive. The ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, and Pluto is here in Aquarius for the next almost 2 decades. And Pluto represents death and transformation, power and control issues. It's where we dive deep. Pluto's the lord of the underworld, so we can dive deeply into our own psyches when the moon is in Scorpio. I talked to several people today who all were like diving deep and having a deep thing going on in their lives. And I'm going to blame the moon, the Scorpio moon. We can find ourselves more emotionally sensitive. That's also what I've been seeing around me, and more psychically sensitive. Um, so that's one of the positive qualities. And so we'll be still continuing that energy. The moon will make a square to the sun at 6:43 a.m. and all the times I'll give you will be Austin, Texas times, which is central in the United States. And then at 8:15 p.m., the moon will be opposing Uranus, this energy that, like, Uranus has been super activated. Right now, it's at 27 degrees and 28 minutes of Taurus. It's now direct. It's still moving slowly. It turned around and stationed at 27 degrees and 27 minutes last Tuesday. So almost a week ago, it's moved 1 minute. So it's still very still in the skies, increasing its potency and increasing the likelihood that we'll be met with some shocks and surprises. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and Aquarius is the upper octave, or Uranus is the upper octave of Mercury. So you think of the things that Mercury represents: our thoughts, our communication with others through our emails, through our texting on our phone, through computers. Uranus is the upper octave of that. It is like connection with our higher self, with our spirit guide team, with the divine itself, in terms of it's like AI, and it's extraterrestrials and astro travel. So it's this like higher realm, a spiritual realm. So when we have jolting, surprising shocks with Uranus, it can be to wake us up. So Uranus is still conjunct Algol, which is a fixed star. It's actually made up of 3 different stars, and it represents the head of Medusa. Medusa, legend said that she could turn people into stone just by looking at them. And then she was beheaded by a man who feared her. And so it's a fixed star. It stays in this area. It's in between, you know, 26 and 27. I've seen it at 23 in an old, like in the United States of America's charts at 23 degrees, but it stays around in this area of the skies. It represents, or it's been known to be associated with, leaders losing their heads. So, figuratively and literally, like going cray cray, having blitz going on with their minds, and also like literally being beheaded or having injuries to their heads. This is common with Algol. So this is still, Uranus is still very, very close. And with these squares, that I know one leader that was reeling this last week and making some pretty crazy posts. And we do have another square this week to Uranus. It will be at the end of the week, and that is with the sun. So that is also going to be intensive. So Uranus will be continuing this theme this week of sudden shocks and surprises kind of coming out of nowhere. I talk about when planets are exact in conjunctions or trines or sextiles or oppositions, but we can feel things before they happen. We can feel them afterwards. Like, for example, right now we're headed into eclipse season, so we can already feel the energy of eclipses. And eclipses are like portal points. There's an opening. Important people come into our life and exit our lives around eclipses. Um, time seems to speed up around eclipses as well. And the next eclipse we'll have will be a new moon solar eclipse that will be at 28 degrees of Aquarius. And Venus is sitting right there right now. Mercury was there just a couple days ago when they were having this square to Uranus. So both Mercury and Venus have been at this eclipse point this week and have made squares to Uranus when they were there. The eclipse will happen at 28 degrees, but anything within a few degrees of that point is being affected. And the eclipse won't be, I'll talk about it again in next week's video because the eclipse actually happens on Tuesday, February 17th, just to give you the heads up, at 6:01 a.m., 28 degrees and 49 minutes of Aquarius. So if you have planets or points in this area, you will be personally affected. And we feel the effects of eclipses for weeks and months to come afterwards. It's like a new moon on steroids. Like new moons are always when the sun and the moon get together in the skies, and that's the time to plant new seeds, have new beginnings. And when there's an eclipse involved, this new beginning is almost like folding up time, like a wrinkle in time. We can feel like time is speeding up, and important major events happen around eclipses, and you can just kind of feel things getting heightened and things moving towards these major events in our personal lives, in the lives of our collective in this country and around the globe. So what's interesting about this upcoming eclipse, well, many things, but one of the things is the United States moon is going to be eclipsed this point, and I'll show you that real quickly here. The United States moon is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So, and in a country chart, the moon represents the people. And we've definitely, with all the stellium that we've had traipsing through Aquarius, we did have Mercury move into Pisces this last week. And one at a time we'll have the planets move, and the stellium will be happening in Pisces. But this is the power of the people moving together, especially with Pluto sitting here, transforming the energy and the power of people gathering together. And what have we been having all over this nation but people gathering together and protesting? So this energy is also going to be brought into this eclipse energy because it's going to be in Aquarius conjunct the United States moon. It'll just be 1 degree off the United States moon, which is super close. Just like right now, Uranus is not exactly conjunct, but close enough to Algol right here, 27, 26 degrees. So that's upcoming events, and we'll be feeling that eclipse energy all week. All right, let me get back to this week, however. On Tuesday, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. On Tuesday, we have the moon still in Scorpio over the overnight hours, making a trine to Saturn. And at 1:21 a.m., the moon will move into Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules the 9th house in the zodiac wheel, and this is the house of the guru. That's what I call it, the house of the guru. It's where we search for spiritual truths in any kind of religious forms or innate spiritual practices. It's where we want to learn anything and everything. It's where the explorers, we want to explore the planet, travel all over the planet, meet people and connect with people from other parts of the planet. So the moon will go into Sag, magnifying those themes on Tuesday, early in the morning. And also early in the morning at 4:18 a.m., Venus will move into Pisces. She'll join Mercury, Pallas Athena, the North Node, and Saturn, which are there. This is Nessus, which is where the buck stops here, kind of an energy. Venus is exalted in Pisces. She loves to be in Pisces. And she is, Venus is the queen of the arts and creative things and spirituality. And so This is a lovely shift. Mercury in Pisces has also been a lovely shift. It can really open up the portals for receiving higher messages from your intuition, because Pisces rules intuition, it rules spiritual growth, it rules enlightenment. So, and it also rules delusion and addiction and checking out and past lives. So, with Mercury there in Pisces this week, we can be getting all these interesting energies and hits on things. And Saturn is at the very last degree of the entire zodiac. Now, Saturn did go up into Aries last year and then has now back into Pisces, but is headed for Aries. And this week on Friday, Saturn will move into Aries. So we are wrapping up. When any planet is at this very last degree of any sign, the 29th degree is the anaretic or the testing degree. We get tested on the qualities of that planet. Saturn is about setting up boundaries, setting up our routines, creating boundaries with ourselves and with others. And again, in Pisces, it could be setting up boundaries around your addictions, like doing things to make sure that you're not caving into your addictive nature, putting boundaries around spiritual practices. I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to really work on developing my psychic abilities. I'm going to draw a tarot card every day. I'm going to whatever. And so, creating the boundaries around something. Saturn is where we say no. And because it is the very last sign of the zodiac, when planets are moving through Pisces, there can be endings and dramatic endings. And Saturn represents time, father time, Chronos. So, and it is wrapping up its 30-year track around the zodiac. And even though it had already back into Aries, this time when it goes into Aries, it's not backing back into Pisces. It's starting a new 30-year cycle going around the zodiac. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. On Wednesday, we have Mercury moving into its shadow at 8 degrees of Pisces. Now, Mercury into a shadow. A lot of people don't know what that means. That means we have an upcoming Mercury retrograde. So Mercury will enter its shadow when it gets to 8 degrees of Pisces. And this is conjunct the North Node. The North Node points to what we're all supposed to be learning right now. And it is these Piscean things, right? How to carve out space to connect with your higher self, to listen to your intuition, to strive for enlightenment, to see the connectedness of all that is, to pull ourselves out of our addictive nature, out of the desire to just want to check out and just stay all fuzzy and delusional and not knowing what end is up. That's what North Node moving to Pisces has been helping us get clear about. So it'll move into its shadow when it's at 8 degrees. It'll go all the way up to 22 degrees of Pisces, where it will station retrograde on February 26th. So I'm already seeing the Mercury retrograde shadow. Let me just tell you. And Mercury affects our communications with others. People miscommunicate. I thought you said this. No, I said that. Didn't you get my text? No, I didn't get your text. Didn't you get my email? No, I didn't get your email. Didn't you get that thing I sent you in the mail? No, I didn't get it. Like, those are common during Mercury retrograde. Also, to have computer glitches or phone glitches or glitches with your car or short-term travel. These are all things. Mercury is the messenger. And in Pisces, it could be receiving messages from your intuition, from your psychic self. Our brain kind of goes offline a little bit, allowing our intuition to become stronger. So starting this week, we can begin to see the previews of coming attractions, what this Mercury retrograde can mean in your life. It officially goes into its shadow at 4:12 p.m. on Wednesday, the 11th. And like I said, on February 26th is when it stations retrograde at 22 degrees. Then it'll travel back to this 8 degree point and 29 minutes that And it'll reach that on March 20th and then station direct again. And then it'll be back to its out of its shadow when it reaches the 22-degree point, and that'll happen on April 9th. So really, the whole retrograde period goes from this Wednesday, February 11th, all the way to April 9th. Even though it's only 3 weeks that is retrograde, this shadow period, sometimes I feel more Mercury retrograde stuff in the shadow period than I do in the Mercury retrograde period. Now, if you have Mercury retrograde in your natal chart, this may be a great time for you. Like you're like, yeah, this is my jam. And it's a time for us to rethink, reconsider, reflect, renew, review. Make sure you've paused before you say things. Double check before you hit send on your texts and your emails, and make sure there's a stamp on your letter when you email it. On April 14th, Mercury will move up into Aries. So it's going to be staying in Pisces longer than usually. It can quit through a sign in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's going to be staying in Pisces for a couple months. So that's, we start to see what this Mercury retrograde will bring. And this Mercury in its shadow is also happening with this solar eclipse. So, it's going to be an interesting time period here with this eclipse. Okay. Also on Wednesday the 11th, the sun will sextile Chiron. Chiron's here at 23 degrees of Aries, moving forward again. It won't come back to this 23-degree point, but it's been here before. It's gone backwards. Now it's going forward. So it's going over this place wherever you have Aries in your chart. You're healing something. Like in this chart for right now, Aries is ruling the 7th house, which is your one-on-one relationships. If you were a Libra rising, which is what this chart is right now. So depending on which house Aries rules for you, that's the area that you've been working on healing for a while, because Chiron's been in Aries for a while. Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It represents our sense of self, our vitality, our energy. Aries is about passion and courage and feeling good about yourself, right? So if you've had low self-esteem issues, Chiron has been helping you dredge that stuff up where the roots of that are so you can heal it. In this last decan, it's really working on what other people think of you. And do you care or not what other people think? Like, it doesn't matter. Well, your opinion of me is none of my business, kind of a thing, is one of the things. But when the sun in Aquarius sextiles this, it's also bringing in, Aquarius is the new, the innovative, the outside of the box, a unique way of looking at, and sextile is a positive relationship, but you have to take some sort of action. So you have to journal until you get that insight. You meditate until you get that insight. You get the hit to go to a massage therapist or an acupuncturist or a naturopathic doctor or a Reiki master, or to go take a walk in the woods, or to do breath work, or do a family constellation, or go into therapy. Like whatever it is that your higher self is calling you to do to heal that, you can get some insights around that when Wednesday, when the sun is sextiling Chiron. If you've already healed this area of your life, you can just get a confirmation. Oh, look, that's healed. That feels good now. Like, okay, done that work there. Okay, check that off the box. On Thursday, well, and a week from Wednesday, on the 18th, just a preview of coming attractions as well, the sun will move into Pisces. That's Wednesday, February 18th at 9:51 a.m. This is a potent, powerful time, so that's why I'm sort of giving you a heads up of other things. So the sun is wrapping up its last week in Aquarius over this next week. And on Thursday, Mercury in Pisces will be conjunct the North Node at 9 degrees, and it'll be at 5 minutes that day. And again, here's this lesson, messages around the lessons of Pisces could be coming through. at 1:44 p.m. on Thursday the 12th, the moon moves into Capricorn. This is a cardinal sign. It's an earth sign. Capricorn is the house of the father in the zodiac wheel, so it could dredge up issues of dad, of bosses, of authority figures. The government is Capricorn. So the moon is, it's natural leaders. And so this is the energy for Thursday and Friday and Saturday. The moon will be in Capricorn. The moon will move into Aquarius on Sunday at 12:16 a.m. So Saturday night late, just after midnight, early Sunday morning, the same day that the sun will square Uranus. So the moon moves into the sign of Aquarius, and the sun will square the ruler of Aquarius. So there's a strong element into the next weekend. Again, we can feel it before. We're getting this eclipse energy portal showing up. People are coming in. People are exiting our lives. Important events are happening left and right. That's what this week feels like to me. On Friday, the 13th at 6:11 p.m., that's when Saturn officially moves into Aries. And then a week from Friday, again, a week ahead, is the great grand conjunction of Neptune and Saturn. They'll be at 0 degrees and 43. I've heard two different sources. 0 degrees and 43 minutes. Also, I've heard 0 degrees and 45 minutes. The minutes are minuscule, but on that day, on the 20th, 3 days after the eclipse, 2 days after the sun moves into Pisces, there is this grand conjunction. 0 degrees of all the cardinal signs is the world axis. We have never in recorded history had Neptune and Saturn be conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries before. So it's unprecedented. So we don't really know what this is going to mean. Neptune, last time it bumped up into Aries, and it has a 165-year cycle. We had the Civil War begin. So we have a sort of civil war brewing in our country right now. The last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct, it happened in Capricorn. Saturn is structures, where we put energies, where we set up the boundaries. Neptune's where we dissolve, take things away. The Berlin Wall structure came down. So that was the last thing that happened the last time they were conjunct. So we don't know what this is going to bring. And since it's Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. So it could be something taken away, some power that's taken away or is dissolved, and something new is established in its place. And again, this is like a new moon. So it doesn't mean events are going to happen on that day. That is the seeding point. So this is a great time to be thinking over this next week. What do you want to set up as your intentions for this grand conjunction? And these two won't meet up again for another 35 years. So this is like, what new intention do you want to set for the next 3.5 decades of your life? And Aries also is where we have courage. It's the pioneer. It's where we do something innovative. We go off by ourselves. We can isolate. We can be rash and impulsive. And, there is this energy of people checking out and exploding, having their heads pop off with rage and anger because of, again, Mars, the ruler of Aries, is the god of war. So there could be just some hotheads. So we don't know, but we're going to be feeling that energy building too. This is like the period of the new moon, it's darkest before the new moon. So right now, the week heading into the eclipse can also be, it's hard to see. We don't know what's happening. And we don't know what's coming. Even astrology can't predict what's going to be happening with this great conjunction. But I just feel like this week and next week are historical times. Like this time period will be written about in history. The events that come up on the news, world events, important things that happen, our grandkids will be learning about, is what I feel like. This is like just really super powerful, potent stuff. So, what do you want to create new that requires your courage, requires you to stand up for yourself and be independent? Aries is independent. Um, and again, it's a pioneer, so it can be something you've never done before. And Neptune is also the dreamer. So it can be a way of making your dreams concrete, right? Creating something new, having Aries as innovation, having an innovative idea that you make real is another way that you can look at this um, Neptune's Saturn conjunction. So this is an important week to just to put some thoughts around what do you want to carry into this new moon solar eclipse, followed 3 days later by this grand conjunction. Like next week is super duper potent and powerful, but we're feeling that rev up and things exploding, and again culminating this Sunday with a square between the sun and Uranus, which can be dicey. The people and sudden unexpected things in the universe, like something could happen that affects all the masses, right? Whether that's technology that goes belly up, which we've also been seeing here and there. um, since Uranus is in Taurus, it could be literal shaking up of the earth, volcanoes, um, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, things that get stirred up by something happening on the earth itself. um, Taurus rules our food, how we grow our food, how we feed ourselves. So there could be something unexpected that happens around food supply or food chain. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and so something in the arts or in the Hollywood scene could be shocking and surprising. Um, there could be financial market shifts or changes and surprises. Your own love life could go belly up because Venus is the ruler. So that could be like a sudden, unexpected shakeup. And again, we got Saturn at the very last degree of the entire zodiac. So there's endings this week in multiple ways of things ending. And again, Saturn moves in to Aries, starting a new 30-year trek on Friday the 13th at 6:11 p.m. So those are the transits for this week and into the following week, because it is historical period. Like this would be the time to be writing I'm going to stop sharing right now. This would be the time to be like writing down in your journal like the major events that happen in your own life, and major events that happen in the world. There is shakeups coming. It's I don't know. I mean, I'll let you know on the dailies I do, and if you don't already know, I post a little 1 to 2 minute daily psyched update where I talk about the transits of the day, and I draw a tarot card. So if I get a hit on those dailies, I'll let you know. But um, even fabulous psychics can't predict what's going to be happening. You can predict that's going to be unprecedented. I know that these next 2 weeks are going to be bringing unprecedented events. Powerful, potent, life changing, life transforming. So, where do you want to be in your life? What things do you want to achieve? What dreams do you want to make concrete? What new beginnings would you like to start? In Aquarius is your group. So with the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, there could also be this drive to join a new group of some sort, a new meetup group, a new social circle, a new church, synagogue, temple, drum circle, band, wherever three or more are gathered is, what is ruled by Aquarius. And Aquarius is also our hopes and dreams. The 11th house is considered a lucky house, and that's the house that Aquarius rules. And it can represent our hopes and dreams. So, what are your ultimate hopes and dreams? This would be a great time this week to sit down and write out, your goals you want for the rest of this year, what you want for the next 3 decades. Like, what do you want your life to be looking like? And putting your attention on those things instead of the craziness. Like when crazy things are going down in the world, that's the time to up your spiritual practices, your connection with your own higher self. We all have a divine within. I'm a Buddhist, so I call that my Buddha nature. You can call that your Christ self, your higher self, your divine self, the spark of the universe within you, like whatever name you give to it. When we die and we put this clay suit down, our soul lives on. And so our intuition and our higher self never dies. Our ego and everything, our physical body, that's going to be clay, dust at some point. But our higher self is part of the eternal. So if you can tap into it, and everyone can, it's just whether or not you choose to or not, right? And sometimes negative belief systems or religious programming can prevent you from actually having a direct access. But everyone is wired with a higher self. And our intuition, in the multitude of ways it shows up, whether that's seeing auras, seeing visuals, seeing visions, where you hear things, you hear loved ones that have crossed talking, or you hear things that aren't going on, but it's like psychic information, or you have prophetic dreams, or you're an empath and you can feel what other people are feeling, or you have psychic smells or tastes, or like all the senses can be heightened in psychic ways, and people can be telepathic. They can read the minds of others. They can know when something is happening. I have noticed, like over time, my psychic abilities keep growing and getting stronger and developing because I put attention into it. I do spiritual practices every day without exception. Um, so, I mean, we need to raise our life condition right now, right? Because what we do internally, our focus on our own healing, we're healing our wounds, listening to our intuition for guidance, because our intuition is our GPS system. If we listen to and then follow our intuition, that's when we're on the right track. And especially when we're going through volatile times and we don't know what end is up and we don't know what's going to go down in the world around us, gathering ourselves to center and tap into that still small voice, as some people refer to it, the intuitive voice, our inner world. Um, and then some people have access and ability to talk to their spirit guides, their angels, Jesus, their, the saints, like whatever entities that are highly evolved are also here to support us. So everyone has a team of spirit guides or angels, loved ones that have crossed, that gather around. And most people, what I've been seeing lately is like people are like getting new guides, new ancestors coming in. Like, yeah, I'm your great 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 grandfather or whatever. Like, I'm coming here to help. So we have support in the spiritual realm if we just tap into that and listen to it. Um, a great way to access this is to do what's called two-way prayer, which is, and this is even if you have no concept of the divine whatsoever. Like, I'm going to access my higher self, I'm going to access my spirit guide team and just see. And you can just have the simple question, what do I need to know today? And just pause and then wait and write down the first thing you start getting, right? It's best to clear your mind and do some breath work or meditation or chanting or prayer first so you can be more still and calm. But that's a great way. That's a lot of people have started automatic writing in that way. Channeling, getting channeled works that way. And this would be the time to be really relying on higher messages from your divine guidance team. We all have effects on the world around us. So if we're all funky and negative and caught up in stuff and want to check out, that's the signal we're putting out. Whereas if we tap in, we raise our life condition, we raise our vibration, we bring out that inner wisdom, that inner compassion, that inner joy, the inner clarity, healing, that's the vibe we're putting out to the world. And that is needed right now on the planet. The term light worker comes from that. The work being to raise your own life condition, because we're affecting the universe around us, whether we're conscious of it or not. The more conscious we become of the lives that we're affecting and the power that we have to affect a powerful change in our own lives and the lives of those around us and the world, by raising our life condition, raising our vibrations, listening to our intuition, following its direction. You know, we can do a simple experiment of just using our bodies as a pendulum. You can do this at the grocery store. You can do this in front of the vitamin selection and just like center yourself. And then like you can hold it in your hand. You can be standing in front of something like you're standing in front of grapefruits. Is this for my body's highest good? And see if your body rocks towards that or rocks away from it. You can do that with people. If your body just wants to lean in and draw in, they've got something for you. If your body's going, watch that. So sometimes our bodies are responding and we're not even aware of it. So try to tune into your body and pay attention to the subtle signals that your body is giving you this week, among other things. All right, have a fabulous week. If you want a reading, I'm still offering half off all of my services, readings, which include diving into your astrology chart, looking at the current transits and how they're affecting you, doing a general tarot reading, and then looking at any questions you have specifically. Those are half off up until the eclipse. So I usually charge $300 an hour for those. They're $150 an hour. Past life regressions are half off right now. Those are usually $400 for a 2-hour period. I charge the same no matter how long a regression ends up being, because I tell people to allow 2 hours. Sometimes it's only an hour and a half. Sometimes it can go a little over 2 hours, but it's usually around an hour and a half to 2 hours. Those are $200 right now. And you don't have to do it in this next week. You just have to schedule your appointment. And you can schedule it into the future within the next reasonable amount of time. But so if you want to get a private session with me, which I generally do over Zoom, past life regressions, you can even just do on your phone with a good headset or earbud. So anyway, let me know if I can be of service to you, and many, many, many blessings. Peace.